is connected. Okay, yeah, there's my mic. I was gonna say, ooh, not my mic disappearing. That's insane. But I am extremely sorry. As originally the live stream was supposed to go on at 11, but I ended up oversleeping, and I didn't wake up until like 12:20 something. Let this be a sign that whether you're a graphic designer or just a human being, make sure you get your 7 hours. Make sure that you get your 7 hours. Dead serious. But I will be starting in a few minutes. I'm pretty much just like sharing it to let everybody know that I am currently streaming. So hold on really quick. Okay, okay, all right. I had went ahead and shared it on Facebook and Instagram, but I didn't necessarily share it on TikTok because it would take me like a little bit of a minute. But for those that just came in, hello, hi, hi. My name is Kimberly, and this is GDM 101 or Graphic Design and Marketing 101, where I'm pretty much going to be showing you how to navigate graphic design or visual communication as a small business. As like visual communication is like the more fancier term for graphic design. Cause when I think it was like a junior in college at that point, and I was going to school in Wisconsin, and up there, graphic design wasn't necessarily called graphic design. It was considered visual communication. Like that basically was my major. Cause like when I heard it, I was like, what is that? And then I started putting two and two together and I'm like, oh. So this is just visual communication is essentially just a more like I wouldn't say fancier term, but it's short, sweet, simple to the point because it's using visuals to communicate a message. Like word for word, bar for bar. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes. I made y'all wait long enough. I'm very sorry. Now, my name is Kimberly Moulton once again. I am a freelance graphic designer, a content creator, and graduation cap designer. Now, I've been freelancing for over 7 years, since 2018, when I officially started my graphic design business, like right in the somewhat cold basement of my auntie's apartment, right? And then content creator wise, I've been content creating on and off for about a decade, since 2015. Cuz my first YouTube channel, I started it in my dorm when I was going to school at Mississippi State. So, I have experience in that field and then also hello Golden Sweet Lioness 18. How are we doing? How are we doing? How are we feeling? How are we doing? Let me. As a matter of fact, hold on. I'm about to share it. Okay, yeah. So, alright, so cool. So, and then, so like for example, so this is the logo for my content creating channel, Seasons with Kimmy. That's where I originally had the live stream yesterday because for whatever reason, YouTube was like, hey, girly pop, we know you never streamed before on this particular account. But now we won't let you do it. So deal with it. You can't do it unless your 24 hours is up. And I'm just like, whoa, that's kind of crazy, but I feel it. so so seasons with Kimmy, I had this account since like late 2022. And by the grace of God, I've accumulated 13,288 views. Um the demographics are just like the age, gender, region, things of that nature, pertaining to my channel. It's it's a it's close to slight 50-50. It's not 50-50, but like it's starting to get in the middle area. And the viewers are pretty much like younger people in between the ages of 18 to 34. And mind you, I'm 27. And they're located in the US, UK, Canada, and the Philippines. So everything pertaining to this channel, most of it is content creating. Following that is gaming and then vlogs and questionnaires. And then my podcast, Shy with Bold Faith, where I'm an introvert, but I talk about my faith. Short, sweet, simple, to the point. And TikTok wise, I've accumulated a good amount of views, 33.6K views, um, like 1.2K likes, things like the same thing. I also added the demographics for TikTok, and that's essentially all for this particular account, cuz I have a Facebook but I don't really share it that often, so the one that I really focus on posting a lot is either YouTube or TikTok. As I feel like having too many social accounts I wouldn't say it gets a little lost in translation, but for those that get a little overwhelmed with posting in like 4 to 5 different apps, it does get very overwhelming. So having maybe one or two social media accounts sometimes kind of helps more than hurts. Well, just for me. So Coco Mocha, the icon, the legend. No, I'm playing. But so this is my graphic design business. So for Facebook wise, I've accumulated 11.5K views. TikTok, I've accumulated 12.7K views. Instagram, I've accumulated 2.2K views. Now, a lot of people will sit and look at these numbers, the low numbers and high numbers, and would be like hypercritical. But the thing that I want people to think about is having maybe 40 people or 11 point K people like your stuff, you will be very, 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 very surprised if that number was in the same room as you. Like you'd be very surprised. Is that is a lot of people. So don't underestimate the power of numbers, as a whole. K's caps. Also, hi Stephanie. Hi. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? All right, so K's caps. So I don't have any stats or like insights for this one because I kind of just started this business. Because for years, like prior to this, I was cosplaying, and it's just a fancy term for costume play. But I was cosplaying from 2014 to about 2022, 23. I was making costume props and everything, and I was thinking, I was just like, well, I mean, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do now? Like, I still want to create. I still want to make a whole bunch of colorful stuff. So what do I do from here? So, I prayed about it and ended up getting this idea. So, I make custom caps. I got a SpongeBob cap on the way. I'm thinking about doing some pro wrestling caps. I'm doing currently working on a cake graduation caps with cherries on top. You're gonna have to lock in and see where it goes. So, enough about that. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. What is graphic design? So, graphic design is the art or skill of combining text and pictures in advertisements, magazines, or books, according to Merriam Webster, one of my favorite dictionaries since I was a kid. Graphic design is the art or profession of using design elements such as typography and images to convey information or create an effect. So, these are all of the variations of graphic design. A lot of people will say that it's more than this, but I'm telling you, it's these 10 right here. So, advertisement design is any design that you use to advertise an event, product, YouTube channel, etc. That is all advertising design is. And this also includes social media design. Well, like social media designs as well. Environmental designs isn't necessarily just graphic design, it is a blend of architecture, audio design, graphic design, topography design, all within the confines in one particular environment. One example that I used yesterday was the zoo, because as a kid, I loved going to the zoo, I loved going to the library as well. But the area that you'll see all of these different types of design come into play at is the zoo. I kid you not. So, illustration design is nothing more than just design. Like, it's kind of a blend of graphic design, but you're using just illustration. You're not necessarily just focused on graphic design as a whole, but it's just anything illustration wise, just illustration. And then motion graphics are just moving graphic design. And then package design is essentially a form of graphic design where the designs are on the packaging. So think any fast food restaurant, and maybe you want to get something cool, something sweet off of Amazon, and they have the Amazon emblem and these other, fancy jargons and things on the box. Those are examples of packaging. That's package design. So, publication design are designs that are pretty much typically had for things like magazines, pamphlets, yearbooks, and so on. Like it's in the name, I kid you not. And then typography design or designs like you're just designing different fonts, and so on, different fonts, letters, or typefaces, essentially. Like you're creating fonts. And then UX slash UI design is UX UI is a short term for user interface, user experience. So you're not only designing the interface of a specific app, but you're also trying to design and affect how people view and experience your app. So if the interface, like respectfully, is garbage, not only is the consumer going to be really confused, but they're not really going to want much to do with your app. So, visual identity, a lot of people, even fellow designers, get visual identity and brand identity mixed up. Brand identity is your overall, is the overall brand, such as your slogan, such as the key message of your brand. But visual identity is the aesthetics of the overall brand. I'm talking your logo, your color palette, the social media ads, but typically it's your logo, but it's the overall aesthetics of your brand, aka the visuals of the brand. Last but not least, web design is just designing websites. Like I would intentionally give like a overcomplicated definition to be funny, but it's literally just designing websites. Now, what is marketing? We briefly talked about what's graphic design, but what's marketing? So marketing is the or process. I almost said profession. It is a profession though. So it's the actor process of selling or purchasing in a market, or the process or technique of promoting, selling, and distributing. So you'll see the third variation in this definition, like in a lot of supply chains, such as like Amazon or other places, where it's a group or a specific amount of people or things are involved in moving goods or raw materials from the producer to the consumer. Now, how marketing and design intertwine, a beautiful intertwining. Marketing and graphic design intertwine for the purpose of outreach, profit, and persuasion, whether it's a small business, nonprofit organization, political campaign, etc. So the sole purpose is to not only advertise a message or product, as I said in the beginning, it is essentially visual communication, but it also will greatly affect the consumer. Like it will affect and benefit the consumer. So an example of this, a really old example of this, can be found not just within retail and food brands, but political and war campaign posters. Now, as a kid, I would sit and I would read up on World War II to not only understand what was the reason behind World War II, but at the same time, what all was going on at this time. So, at this time, graphic design was used immensely to not only advertise but to persuade people to not only support the war but be involved in it as well. So, for example, the first poster was all about carpooling at the time because the United States was using gas on the battlefield. So they pretty much made a poster and was like, "Hey, if you don't carpool, you might as well be riding with the opposition. You might as well be riding with Hitler." Now, from a modern perspective, that is kind of crazy. However, they really needed the gas. They needed it. So, the whole purpose of the poster was to encourage citizens to carpool and ration gas. That's what the purpose was. So the second one was trying to persuade, you know, trying to empathize with women whose husbands went to war. And they essentially were like, hey, I know you miss your man, but longing him is not going to bring him back sooner. So do yourself a favor and help us in the war. Get a war job. So it was literally encouraging women to join labor, like US labor, as the United States had a lot of labor shortages at this time. And then last but not least, the third poster, it was kind of the same light, but just in a different country, as the United Kingdom or England essentially had a astounding unemployment rate of 70%. Like it was crazy. So what this poster was doing was saying, hey, buy British, buy from your own country, because once you put money into your own country, that puts more money in y'all's pockets. So that's essentially what that poster is doing, trying to appeal to women that were already working in the UK. So, when it comes to this whole thing, design is the display, is the face, while marketing is the strategy for how businesses grow over time. When blending visual appeal with a message or call to action, it draws viewers to inquire about your brand. So, one strategy that is involved within this whole debacle, one strategy is involved with this pertaining to the color theory. So now we are talking about the color theory. The color theory is a historical body of knowledge describing the behaviors of colors, namely in color mixing, contrast, harmony, and symbolism. Now, with color theory, both popular and local brands focus on specific aesthetics and colors to pull in their audience using color to raise feelings, memories, etc. So, this certain phenomena is known as color psychology. So, from red to black to pink to brown, each color represents a positive and negative aspect. For example, red is associated with passion, excitement, and power. Orange, despite it reminding me of the Nickelodeon logo, is associated with warmth, enthusiasm, and creativity. Yellow is associated with joy, optimism, and enlightenment. Green is associated with nature, peace, and harmony. Blue with serenity, orderliness, or seriousness and trust. Purple is associated with luxury, wealth, dignity, sophistication, like money. Like tips, sometimes green can be associated with money, but purple has been the color of a lot of royal families for years. And then pink is associated with femininity, love, and compassion. Black is associated with solemnness, professionalism, and mystery. And white is associated with integrity, purity, and simplicity. Now, with color psychology, the color palette or aesthetic of the brand not only attracts consumers, and I spell consumers wrong, which is insane because I think I was typing really fast, but either way, it not only attracts consumers' interest, but it also draws focus to the core identity, colors, and emotions a brand wants consumers to associate with its visual identity. Graphic design is the stage in this aspect, but the visuals are the spotlight, or colors are the spotlight of said brand. Now, types of marketing. We talked about graphic design. We even yapped about marketing a little bit, but now we're going to be talking about the types of marketing, and this will help. This will help a lot. So, within modern times, effective advertisement utilizes persuasion, visual appeal, and engagement. So, for brands, events, campaigns, etc., in order for these things to expand, these four types are the key to unlocking your brand's growth potential and creativity. So, number one, is word of mouth. So this is a marketing tactic that involves social interaction, networking, and personal recommendations. It uses the power of testimony or he said, she said to spread awareness and build trust in one's brand, product, event, channel, etc. This can apply to not just businesses but content creators as well. Well, all of these can, if we're being honest. So, for example, Luke chapter 5, verses 15 and 16. This passage is one of the most powerful examples of the word of mouth tactic as it resulted in the birth of the early church to where Christianity is now. So, in context, word spreads quickly in Galilee about the sermons and miracles and everything that Jesus did. So many people began gathering to listen to his sermons and also be healed of their, physical ailments. However, Jesus was like, "Okay, I did my work. Now I just want to go and pray." Right? So, number 2 is digital marketing. So, this is a type of marketing where a brand utilizes digital platforms such as emails, websites, and social media to convey information, build a community, and draws interest to itself. So you can find these examples such as when people do collaborations with businesses or fellow influencers, social media marketing, which is which is literally a type of it is a type of marketing strategy. Promotional emails, promotional spell wrong, promotional emails, and creating email subscriptions, creating digital trends, posting statuses, etc. So, for example, when Wendy's did a collaboration with the Krabby Patty with SpongeBob SquarePants, and they made the Krabby Patty collab, this like their social how they utilize social media was low key funny to me. It was kind of funny to me. So not only did they do reels, but they referenced so many things from SpongeBob SquarePants. Like my favorite thing was when Wendy's did this tweet referencing the fish from the show and was like breaking news. Like I don't know why that tickled me so much. It was funny. It was really funny, but they capitalized on the popularity of SpongeBob on social media to the fullest, and I appreciate that. Now, number 3 is traditional marketing. So, this is a type of offline marketing that focuses on advertising a brand through established platforms such as print advertising, telemarketing, TV and broadcasting, and direct mail. So, think TV and radio commercials, business cards, flyers, newspapers, out of home advertisements, such as advertisements in public spaces like restaurant posters, and so on. So these are all examples of traditional marketing. All of these, even billboard advertisements, are examples of traditional marketing. Now, guerrilla or creative marketing is a type of marketing that relies on creativity and the element of surprise, using non traditional forms of advertising to create both buzz around a product or brand and create a memorable experience. So think flash mobs, ticket distributions, art exhibitions, pranks, social media experiments, viral campaigns, grassroots campaigns. Because I know a lot of politicians, a lot of politicians use grassroots campaigns to advocate for certain causes or for certain politicians, road shows, contests, etc. It's any type of marketing that goes outside of the typical grid of marketing to pull consumers in, and it throws them off guard. Now, we talked about the marketing types. Now we're going to talk about the marketing strategies, and this is how people will use specific types of marketing and in the strategies for how they use them. Now, number 1 is direct marketing. So this is a method of marketing that uses direct communication to receive a response from consumers, such as sending them offers, subscriptions, etc. So social media marketing email marketing, or telemarketing are all examples. Number two is paid marketing. So this is a strategy where a brand uses an advertisement. Well, they pretty much pay and they use this to advertise their services or products, such as TV commercials, Google ads, social media ads, billboard ads, restaurant posters, newspapers, campaign murals, campaign yard signs for maybe for prom, or for, or if somebody was to run for like mayor or something like that. Like, these are all examples. One example that I can think of, like off the dome, like off the top of my head, was when I was younger, and there was a specific Christmas commercial that I think Hershey's did, where they had the kisses and it pretended to be bells, and it was playing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year." And this commercial was one of the oldest commercials I have ever seen in my life, but that was paid, and that was an example. So number three is content marketing. So content marketing is a strategy of marketing that focuses on the content that is being made, that's being created, such as vlogs, podcasts, reels, etc., to create a specific community, niche, and trust amongst the creator and consumer. So while social media is the platform, this strategy's focal point is the content that's being made and the analytics behind its performance. So, last but not least, we have out of home marketing, which is a strategy of marketing using public spaces to advertise a brand's services, products, content, etc. So, think billboard ads, food truck vinyl wraps. So, the vinyl wraps are essentially, so for example, if you look at a food truck and it has really fancy graphics on it and it's wrapped all around the truck, that's a vinyl wrap. Like, they have whole businesses that design an entire wrap from the front to the back to the sides. And then they print it out and they squeegee it onto the truck. But long story short, that's a vinyl wrap. So also other examples are movie advertising, like movie poster ads, restaurant ads, the super fancy big screens in Times Square in New York City, etc. So, we learned about marketing types, marketing strategies marketing strategies you can use to grow your business, but now we're talking about the audience, because at the end of the day, you can advertise, you can design to your heart's content, but at the end of the day, you have to have a relationship, at least a bond or an understanding with your audience. So, when creating or owning a business, one must decide who its target audience will be. Pay attention to its numbers via analytics and demographics, and who they are, who they decide to be within public image, or aka PR, or public relation. So these designs will help you to gain your voice and discover you and your consumers' wishes for your brand as well. So these are the two business model types. You have B2B, which is business to business, and I did double repeat common and supply chains twice. And then we have business to consumer. So business to business is a business model where it focuses on businesses advertising, or wanting to do trades and so on with other businesses. So this is common in supply chains via material and components, where long story short, one business has the raw materials and components, and if another business needs those components, they ship those off in order for that business to continue making what they're making and send it to the consumer. But business to consumer completely cuts the middleman. It completely focuses on doing business with individuals. Business to business focuses on doing trades and businesses with other businesses, but B2C is just to one person. And B2C is significant because you have to have really good customer service, great customer service, and trust and loyalty between both the brand and the consumer. So, an example of B2C Brands, well, business models that we know nowadays is Amazon and eBay. As like a lot of B2C businesses died out in the early 2000s, but the only ones that really stood on business and is here in present day is Amazon and eBay for certain. So, after choosing a business model, experiment with your business and pay attention to your numbers, such as your analytics, which are insights and demographics, popular items or deals. Jot down and evaluate what does or doesn't work. However, don't over personalize and overthink it. Because I think whether you're a content creator, graphic designer, or you have to do anything where you have no choice but to market what you're doing to other people, sometimes when we get low numbers, we internalize it and we believe that, oh, this has low numbers. This means that I'm not doing good enough or do do do. Like, don't over personalize or overthink it, as low numbers do not define one's worth or talent. These numbers are changeable, they change over time with growth, love, discernment, and effort. It's just a matter of slowing down and observing. So, for example, like insights are an overview of statistics for your brand, such as your demographics, engagement, likes, dislikes. This is not just an online phenomenon, but how corporations know their audience, their likes, and whether or not their risks will pay off. So, demographics, and I know I said this a billion times. So, demographics are your consumer's identity and behavior with your brand, which is separated by factors such as age, gender, region, times and day they're active, etc. Now, with both online and online brands, demographic demographics are based on observation and engagement within both the community for all for offline brands and with your brand online for the brands that are virtual essentially. So, trends and creativity, this is my favorite section because it involves being creative and thinking outside of the grid, both for graphic design and for marketing. Now, within the growth of a business, creativity can play a huge role. Sometimes trending sounds, viral clips, humor, memes. I love memes. If you know me personally, to know me is to know that I love memes. I don't mention the memes often for the sake of maintaining a professional edge, but I love memes. So all of these things will help skyrocket one's business overnight. However, depending on both the context and the content, it can make or break both the reputation and growth of your brand. So for example, director Greta Gerwig's film Barbie had one of the most iconic, successful marketing and design runs of 2025. I will argue that to oblivion. The way they marketed was beautiful. However, Burger King's 2012 chicken snack wraps, that whole thing had one of the worst marketing campaigns. Ooh, one of the worst. So, we're focusing on Barbie. So, this movie came out and it was Barbie Mania. It was Barbie everywhere. Barbie shoes, Barbie ice cream, Barbie pink lemonade, Barbie makeup, Barbie donuts, Barbie nail polish, Barbie hair products. I mean, it was everywhere. Everywhere. So the movie had over 100 plus collaborations, and I think they had a total of 1,000 registered items according to Congress. I could be wrong, but I know for a fact they had over 100 collaborations ranging from food, cosmetics, clothing, home decor, and more. Like their main goal was to not only tease and breadcrumb audiences about the movie, because a lot of people were wondering, okay, they're making a Barbie movie, what is going to happen in this movie? So not only were they like they were breadcrumbing audiences about the film, but they were capitalizing using the impact of the Barbie brand because Barbie has been around for decades at this point. Now, Marketing and promoting began as early as April 2022, I believe, when they released a teaser or a trailer for the Barbie film. I think either at Comic Con or it was a film, it was either a film festival or somewhere. It was somewhere. But they released a trailer or like a teaser for it, and the reception was really good on it. So they had a budget, a marketing budget of $150 million, and it paid off tremendously because altogether it brought in a total of $1.7 billion at the box office. And that is a lot of money. So, the negative aspect. So, in 2012, Burger King was rebranding at the time and was promoting new items such as their chicken strips and the chicken snack wraps. So, they featured many celebrities, including R&B songstress Mary J. Blige. However, what they thought was a success within Mary's TV spot completely backfired on them. Now, if you don't know the controversy behind this, so long story short, Mary in this TV spot, they're obviously advertising the chicken snack wraps, and everybody's asking, what's in the snack wraps? And Mary J. Blige comes out of nowhere, is like, what's in the snack wraps? And then she's just singing. She's doing is just on stage singing the ingredients, like crispy chicken with lettuce. Like she's just singing the ingredients, right? So many celebrities and politicians came online to not only bash the advertisement for feeling tone deaf, but they even bashed her for involving herself in the commercial. They felt like she was shucking and jiving for whatever reason. However, due to the backlash of this whole thing, Burger King pulled Mary's TV spot less than 24, like 25, 28 hours later. It like after that, the crispy chicken commercial was no more. Like it was a big thing. It was everywhere. And I mean, when I say everywhere, like every news station, like national was talking about this. So within both campaigns, marketing and design, not marketing or design, marketing and design are a powerhouse together. So Burger King's failed TV spot is proof that even with great visuals and celebrity endorsements, the lack of proper reach, strategy, and self awareness could potentially lead to failure. Poor visuals with an influx of great marketing will cause people to second guess what you're promoting and not completely trust it. Like you're kind of banking on whether or not they think you're trustworthy. Now, even in participating with certain trends, visual appeal and catching attention are key, especially nowadays. If you lose attention, you could possibly risk losing some of your audience. However, however, within the synapses of this workshop, one thing should be understood. As a business owner, it's not about obsessing over your audience or numbers or molding yourself into something or someone that you are not. It is about maintaining your identity, navigating the relationship between the consumer and creator, cherishing and improving the quality of what you do, and protect the profit and fruit of your labor. So, with graphic design and marketing, discover what works best for you, as what works for you may not work for someone else. So, you may have used paid marketing for a specific campaign and it worked completely fine for you. Now, while paid marketing is a strategy, maybe the type of marketing that you used benefited you like tremendously. But what you did and how you did it, the method of which you did it, may not work for somebody else that has a completely different thing. So take the time to understand the industry or the actual market that you're in, especially the specific niche that you're in. So decide how creative or minimal you wish to be within your designs and or marketing style. So once you decide that, together both will take you to new heights. But you got to remember one last thing. Don't overthink it. Take baby steps, plan intentionally, use discernment, and draft your ideas before jumping into action. Because a lot of people wish to do a lot of different things, but where they mess up is they don't they don't brainstorm their ideas. They don't sit and think, "Okay, I want to do this, but how do I effectively go about doing so?" They jump into things head first, and before they know it, everything crashes and burns. A perfect example, if you really like a perfect example of this, watch Kitchen Nightmares, because all my days, there's a lot of people on Kitchen Nightmares whenever I would watch the show like all the time. There was an episode in particular where there's this woman who is a business owner, well, who was the owner of the restaurant, and she was a belly dancer, and the disconnect between her and the customers were like tremendous. And when Gordon Ramsay was asking her like, "Hey, like how do you run this business?" or when he was asking her like, "Hey, do you have any idea, what's going on in the restaurant, such as like what's going on in the kitchen? What's the connect with you and your customers?" She had no idea what was going on. And she kind of just jumped into things and was like, "Okay, I'm just going to start this restaurant and let the chefs do their thing." But she didn't realize that to own a restaurant, you have to have an understanding of everything that's going on, everything that's in the menu, everything that the chefs are doing, how everything is properly stored, and so on. Because the key to effectively, um, I wouldn't say securing the success of a brand or whatever the case may be, you got to have a plan first. You got to have a business plan. Even as a content creator, you got to have a plan for what to do when it comes to content. Like, even now, whenever I do social commentaries under Seasons with Kimmy, I always draft out every social commentary that I ever do. Like, when I was younger, when I first started out, I would make some of the social commentaries into essays. So I pretty much, my bad. So I pretty much would draft out essays. So you know how like in high school or even in college we would draft out like whole argumentative essays or persuasive essays. That's literally what I would sit and do. Like even now, I'm working on like three different social commentaries. Ooh, hold on. I'm working on three different social commentaries, and I'm working on one that I'm working on now is Carrie, breaking down the whole thing pertaining to the 1976 film Carrie. So far, the essay is like 4 pages long. It'll probably be 6 pages by the time I'm done with it. But nevertheless, all I'm saying is whenever you decide to do something, whether you're a content creator or a business owner, plan everything intentionally. Use discernment and plan. Brainstorm before you jump into things, because a lack of planning can and sometimes will produce failure. So, aside from that, I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am so sorry that it did not record and participate with me yesterday. And once again, my name is Kimberly Moten. I'm a graphic designer and owner of my graphic design business, Coco Mocha. I'm a content creator, as I've been doing this on and off for over a decade, and a business owner of K's Caps, where I design graduation caps. But aside from that, I thank you guys so much for for tuning in. I will be doing more workshops like this. Like hopefully in the future I'll have the ability to do like physical workshops cuz that's been a really big dream of mine. But for now, I actually like these virtual workshops. I like locking in and seeing what y'all are up to. But aside from that, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you guys or talk to you guys later. All right, bye guys.